All right. We good? All right, Kevin, I'm coming to you. You're the guy now.
Pressure's on.
All right. Thank y'all for being here. Great win. Appreciate the fans for showing up. I thought the sun was going to be out, it was going to be warm, and then the stadium was clouded over about 3 minutes in, so I appreciate them toughing it out. On a day that we honored the all-time winningest coach, the most successful coach, and one of the best men that's been in the game of college football, and I think only fitting. You know, his first game as the head coach here at West Virginia was against Cincinnati. He gets immortalized in the stadium in a game that we won convincingly versus Cincinnati, and so had a little extra pressure on us to come out and win tonight or win today with him getting honored. But glad we could get it done, and I'm glad our crowd gave him a long ovation there. The event last night, a ton of former players and people connected to the program during his tenure were there, and I'm just glad he got to enjoy that. And what a well-deserved, well-earned honor, and just happy for him and his family. And a lot of great grandkids and grandkids there, and really most of his family was here to enjoy that. So I want to start with that. And the next group is really happy for the guys that walked today. You know, you look at those guys, and there's a core group there that really has established the standard of how we work here. And guys are going to be sorely missed when this is all done this year. But glad that they came out and performed. That's a really hard emotional deal. And I don't know if you haven't done it, you go, this is a physical game there's only one way to play it, and you have to walk on the field and you see your family members there, and your mind goes to all the years you've been playing football, and then how fast this whole college deal went. And then about 2 minutes after that, you got to go, you know, so you got all this emotions that are flowing through, and then you got to go out and play a regular game. And those guys not only did that, but they played at a really high level. And so excited for them. You know, and we finished really strong here at home. Last two home games were resounding wins, 5-1 at home. You know, we'd love to have the one we let get away there in the fourth quarter, but it's a tough place to play, and I thought we did a nice job playing some really good football here at home for the home fans. I'll start with offense. Really just a dominant performance. I think we punted one time, and you know, stats speak for themselves. We ran for 424 yards, threw for another 200. You know, over 200-yard rushers, and you know, I thought it was dominant. And it starts up front with our offensive line. You know, the Joe Moore Award, which goes to top offensive line, came out with their semifinalist, and I thought it was an absolute complete farce that our guys weren't involved in that. I don't know what the criteria is for that, but coming in the game, we were 7th in the country. We should be probably in the top 5 after this game. We ran for 424. We were 7th in the country in fewest sacks allowed. So you look at those stats, and I would make a hard argument we're the best offensive line in the country, but we definitely should be a semifinalist for that. And I hope when they get the finalists out, they'll reconsider that and actually watch some film, because and that was something that our guys took offense to today. They took it out on Cincinnati. It's something that I thought was a slap in the face to our program. And again, I hope they look at our body of work, and we can be recognized as a finalist down the road. Garrett bounced back. He's the ultimate competitor, and knew he would play well after not playing as well last week. I thought he was really, really good today. And Jaheim White, you know, you keep seeing him. He's been getting better. He's getting better. You know, him, you know, continuing to learn how to practice is really paying off. He was elite today in the catch. He had almost 300 yards of total offense, and then I thought our receivers blocked really well downfield. Made some plays. Cole made some plays in the pass game, but they really blocked, and I think that's a real credit to Blau Marshall, the receiver coach. These guys are playing hard, and we're running a little bit different style of offense, but those guys are really playing hard, and those explosive runs are really, you know, they're right at the point of attack. So proud of them. Special teams really solid. didn't do anything that was necessarily changing the game, but we didn't hurt ourselves, and we felt like if we could just be solid in that phase, that would pay off, and we did. I thought our Michael Hayes did a great job on kickoff tonight. When you don't cover kicks, it kind of goes unnoticed, but those are big opportunities, and him getting the ball in the end zone and putting some air on the ball where they have to fair catch it, that's big. And then defense, really proud of our staff and our players. Did not play anywhere close to our best a week ago, and for us to come out and really for 3 quarters dominate the game, I think that speaks to them. The fourth quarter, the stats got skewed. I wasn't real pleased with how we finished on that side of the ball, but I thought for 3 quarters, man, our defensive line was dominant. They played really well. We really pushed this game all week to our guys. It was going to be a matchups of fronts, right? And our O-line versus their D-line, their O-line versus our D-line, and both teams were I think they were 5th in the country in rushing. We were 7th, and just felt like the game would be won up front, and I thought that we won it overwhelmingly on both fronts. And so, really good game as far as on the defense side as well. So with that, Kevin, you start us off.
In setting up your running game, because you have so many different options right now, are you running some different things first couple of series just to see how they're working, and then, or when you have as much success as you did, on the first couple of series, obviously moving it, you say, okay, we're going to stick with this, or still tempting to look at other parts of it?
Yeah, so what we did, we were just trying to change the picture on them a little bit. Schematically, we really reduced the number of schemes we ran today. We only really ran about 3 run schemes today. But what we did is we tried to motion different looks for the tight end, move the back around a little bit, and where we were trying to get the ball to hit, into the boundary, into the field. And so that was really the plan. We started off good, and then we had a penalty that kind of knocked us off that first drive, and then we rolled the rest of the half. And, I think that, at the point of attack, Wyatt Milam, he's special. He's special, and he was really good at the point of attack. I thought that Zach Frazier really took the matchup with Corleone personal. I don't know how that went. But stats-wise, say it went pretty well for us. We'll see when we watch video. And I thought that Tomas and Jaquay and Nick Malone, those guys played at a high level today. And then the tight ends. Anytime you can run the ball with that much, and we're doing it where those guys are at the point a lot. Cole and Traylon Davis probably played one of his best games as a Mountaineer today too. And so schematically, pretty simple, but try to change the picture on those guys.
From your perspective, kind of take me through the emotion on the sideline while Coach Nealon's being immortalized. And do you think that gave your team a boost?
I think we'd be naive to think our players really saw that. They didn't. They're kind of worried about what they got going on. Now, I took a time. The defense was out on the field at the time, so I kind of stepped away and was able to watch it. And like I said, just really happy for him. I don't know if it gave us a boost or anything like that. Now, our players did understand the magnitude of he was getting honored, and we did a good job on Friday in our team meeting, kind of educating him about him and what he was able to accomplish here. And you got to remember now, Coach is around too, and he's in front of them a few times each year. And so they know who he is. They know, his son Danny's our equipment manager, and so they knew that this was a game that not only did we need to win to get to 7 and get to 5 in conference, but on a day that we're recognizing Coach Nealon, we needed to play our best.
What do you, going back to both Jaheim and Garrett, was there anything specific? Because Garrett seemed to be like hitting people in stride, and his passes were so crisp, and yet his runs. So each of those players, is there something that impressed you a lot?
Well, I thought Garrett bounced back. That was really last week was first time he really hadn't had success this year. And there's been varying levels of success, but he really just didn't play well. And he's ultimate competitor. There's a lot of skills that he has as far as being able to throw the ball and run and all those kinds of things. But the best trait that he has is his competitiveness. And that ate at him last week, and that he didn't feel like he gave us an opportunity because he wasn't at his best. And he took that personal, and he came back and performed. And he was on from the very beginning. He threw some really, really good deep balls, and he had some pressure, especially early in the game, and I thought he stepped up and did that. He did a much better job on scramble plays, of getting out and running and hitting guys in stride, looking to be a passer. And then Jaheim, I thought he broke tackles. You know, I don't know how many yards after contact he had, but it was a bunch. And that was a really difficult catch he had on the touchdown. And I thought that really – it was 7-0 to the time. That made it 14-0. And that really put us in a position where we could kind of get out in front of them.
You know, the running stuff with Garrett, how much of it is call and how much of it is read and him seeing something and doing the right thing?
So a lot of the big runs today were called runs where he's reading, Mike. Now, he had some scrambles where he ran the ball, but most of his big chunk plays, and I'm going back in my memory as I'm talking, so most of his big chunk plays were read plays, not necessarily called quarterback runs, but where he's reading a defender. And then he had a couple of them are pass plays, where he ran around some.
In your final drive of the first half, they get a touchdown and you have a small amount of time. Talk to him, I guess, just what to do there, and it was a challenge of, like, let's get 7 back here.
Yeah, so it's 21-7, and it's kind of going on the radar, which is okay, is, we've been really good in 2-minute situations all year. And so what I told him is 21-7, I said, hey, listen, we're going to be aggressive, but I want to be smart. And I told him the same thing on that third down play through the interception. So it's like kind of like my kids. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But I told him, let's be smart here. And so we like to match up with Cole into the boundary. On the safety, there's big, and so he was able to hit. We had a big quarterback draw play, and then Cole made a couple catches, and then he just read the backside and was able to get in. Would have liked to eaten up a little bit more time, so they didn't have a chance. But he did a nice job. That drive was mostly him. He threw 2 really good passes to Cole, and he had some really positive runs.
Obviously, Jaheim had a great game on the ground, but also the big touchdown catch. Was there something maybe about this matchup that allowed to unleash him a little bit more as a receiver too, or was it just progression of him as a player? Because you did talk about the last couple of weeks about wanting to use him in that way, and then here we go.
Yeah, so the touchdown was off a look that we've been handing the ball off to Rodney on, and so Rodney was a decoy, and we were able to slip Jaheim right there and on a corner route. So Jaheim usually blocks on that play, and we just slipped the block. He went inside and ran a corner and made a difficult catch. Garrett made a great play because we didn't block the protection right. We left their nickel free. He blitzed, and he was free, and Garrett did a nice job stepping up and throwing a catchable ball, but it was still a difficult catch for Jaheim. And so really thought he'd have a couple more catches in the game, but just the way it played out, we didn't really need to. But he's good. Am I surprised he went for 200? Maybe, but he's been playing really well. We've got a real solid 1-2 punch. I thought CJ came in and gave us some things. I thought Justin Johnson really hit some nice runs as well.
CJ and Doug just.
So CJ, if the game was probably closer, he could have probably played more. Now, he was very limited. He practiced a little bit on Thursday, a little bit on Friday. And he may have got two runs on Wednesday, so he was very limited. And so we let him make the call in pregame. He ran him around pretty good in pregame. He felt he could go. There was one way he felt better than the other, so we tried to call those. And so I'm hoping after a couple days, by Tuesday, he can get out and be closer to full speed. And then Doug was our emergency. We dressed him today. He went in for the victory snap because he wanted to participate, but he wasn't ready. And so I'm hoping, didn't do a whole lot all week. We get a couple days, and I'm hoping by Wednesday he can be back and then be available for Baylor.
More of the focus on quarterbacks and decision-making, like you talked about last week, and this is on the passing game, but in the run game that you mentioned a little bit, his level of decision-making on those plays today, as good as it's been?
Kind of who we are. I don't know how many times we snapped it today. It wasn't as many as we normally do. But so let's say 65. Kevin, there's probably, and I'm ballparking here, but 50 of those 65 – or probably he's having to make some kind of decision. Either he's reading somebody in the run game, he's making a decision whether he's going to throw an RPO or a screen, or it's a pass play, where he has a pre-snap and a post-snap. So, we're asking him to make a lot of decisions, and we're putting a lot on his plate. And I think he's at a point in his career where the best way for us to be successful is to put a lot on his plate. Now, when you do that and, he doesn't see it as clearly like last week, you're going to struggle some. But that's really, I thought that was going to be a one-off, and he came out ready to go today, and I'm proud of how he competed.
Jaheim, 9.7 yards per carry today. Can you just kind of speak to his explosiveness and ability to read blocks?
Yeah, well, he's decisive, and sometimes when if you don't know, that's okay. And so there's no indecision there. He's taking it, he's hitting it. Even if he's wrong, it's full speed, and he's getting downhill fast. And he does a little better when we put him in the pistol, and I thought it gives him some momentum. He's more quick than fast. I think after another offseason, I think his top-end speed will increase. But he does a really good job of he reads blocks. He's a one-cut guy, and he's small in stature, but he's a really thick lower body guy. And he can break tackles, and he did that today.
You held 70 yards under their rushing average. Why was that so good today?
Well, that's going to be the key for them. They've been a team that's really ran the ball successfully all year. I don't know where they were after 3 quarters of that, but I would say it was considerably less. And then to hold the Kiner guy to 56 yards, he's really good. I was concerned about him and our ability to tackle him because he's a guy that has a super strong lower body. And so for us to be able to do that and hold him to 56 yards, for us to win, we knew we were going to have to control the run game. We didn't necessarily think we were going to stop it, but we had to control it, and I thought our guys did that.
So West Virginia had control most of this whole game, but they did kind of put up a little bit of a fight there towards the end. Did you or any of the coaches say anything to the team of, hey, we're still up big, settle down? Just because there have been games this year where teams have come back and made it a little closer.
Yeah, no, they made it closer. I think it was 42-14, so they were going to have to. At one point, it might have been 42-7. They did a little bit more in the fourth quarter than I would have liked, but I don't think that game ever got where it was in question. But bottom line, we had them at 3rd and 16, and we missed 2 tackles, and they ran down, and then they hit a trick play too, and so not necessarily pleased with how he finished in the fourth quarter, but we'll take 42-21 in a conference game.
How big was it? The first quarter, they had a couple of 4th downs in midfield, punted both times, and I think you turned both into touchdowns to up 21. How big was stuff like that?
Yeah, I think those are decisions that sometimes I haven't gotten them all right either. And Sat he's been doing this for a long time, and he's been aggressive. But their 4th down stats haven't been very good this year too. So I think that probably played into it. He's usually a pretty aggressive guy, just playing him when he was at App and I was at Troy. But coming in this game, their 4th down stats weren't good, so I'm sure that played into it. And then one of them was a 4th and really long 2, and those are hard calls, I can tell you. Like we had one last week. I felt like we needed to go for it to give us a chance to win, but those are ones you're like, and so we've been pretty good on 4th down. Our 4th down defense has been pretty good too, so that might have played into it. And I thought we had a critical one there. Probably as odd a first touchdown drive is maybe I've had in my career. We had so we lost a tight end during that drive, so we didn't have 12 personnel. The 6 offensive line, we had an offensive lineman get hurt within that drive, and we lost a running back. And so the 21 personnel sets that we would use, the 12 personnel sets we would use, were both out, and then our 6 offensive linemen personnel grouping. So I had to use 2 timeouts there because I called a play, and I'm like, as soon as I called it, I'm like, oh, he's out. We can't run that. And so, but we finally got settled down after that timeout before the 4th and 1 call, and then Garrett did a really nice job, and we got good push on that 4th and 1. And that ended up being a huge play that probably everybody forgets.
The way you trimmed down the passing for Garrett this week, do you think that helped him see things a little bit better?
Well, I hope so. We're kind of in this deal. We're either going to take shots or, we're not dinking and dunking much, So he saw it. He threw the ball well. You know, we've really worked on his fundamentals during the week, but at the same time, I didn't want him thinking out here. You know, you work on fundamentals during the week, you go play, you trust your training on Saturday. And I did. I thought he was really accurate. I mean, from the first play, we called a shot play there, the very first play of the game, hit Traylon Ray in stride, and I thought that kind of set the tone for the rest of the afternoon for him.
Neal, you talked a little bit earlier about reaching 7 wins and 5 in conference. That's your winningest season here. And what does it mean to you to reach that higher level and to do it in a season where you were picked 14th in the league?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the 7 wins is good. You know, we need to get to 8 and then get to 9. I think if we can get to 9 wins, that's significant. You know, if you look at what's been done here since joining the Big 12, I think that would put us up, maybe second since joining the Big 12. I think the 6 conference wins is significant. If you look at it, there's a couple teams that have won 7, and then a couple that have won 6, and that's going way back. As far as teams that have won 6 conference football games, you know, there's very few in the history of our program that have won 6. So those are some of our goals. You know, to get to 6 conference wins, to get to 8, to give us a chance to get to 9. We got to go to Waco. That's a tough trip, and I don't know how they did today. But we got to go and kind of guys will have a good time today and kind of get them back tomorrow and then start practice on Monday. And this is if you're a football coach, this is one of your favorite weeks of the year. You know, practicing and playing during Thanksgiving week. So, guys, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good weekend. Thanks.